Neko.
Hi.
So for those who aren't familiar, Neko is a celebrity scratcher that completely broke all the rules, self-made, like just hustled nonstop, hardcore tattooing every single day, and made a name for yourself. And doing a style that is so badass, like so hardcore and wicked, like it's just like it actually looks like people have like actual wounds. You know what I'm saying? Like you do these big, they looks like scarification kind of. Of course, mixed with like all of your own style too. Just incredible stuff. And so, yeah, we're really excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about like who you are, like where are you from? You're based in LA now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually one of the few people who are actually born and raised in LA. I've been here my entire life. Um, so I honestly only know different because I've been traveling a lot due to tattooing, which is super sick. But basically, yeah, LA native, born and raised. I started tattooing honestly later on in life. I was supposed to get started when I was like much younger, but I ended up at the age of 17 like overdosing, and then it ended up kind of messing up my life a bit. So, after like overdosing, I had to kind of come to terms with the fact that I couldn't really be the artist that I had always been due to the fact that I lost mobility in my hands. And also like all creativity kind of just sleeped out of my brain. Which makes sense. I mean, I had undergone psychosis for the first time, and that really damaged me in ways that I never thought possible, you
How
know.
old were you when that happened?
I was 17.
How old are you now?
I'm currently a lady never discloses her age. So a lot of people are gonna bug out and be like, "I'm 27 years old now."
Okay, so you like had this insane thing happen you had to overcome. So like when you say the artist you wanted to be, like did you have aspirations of like have you been drawing all your life? Did you have bigger goals for your
Yeah,
art?
yeah, yeah. I like to say this as a big little like I did that in high school. There was a whole arts academy because we had different academies in high school, and whenever someone wanted to focus on a specific kind of thing, they go into a certain academy. And for me, I was in the performing and visual arts academy. So being in the performing visual arts academy um brought me to like taking tons of classes. I was into everything artistic. I took every single one of the classes they offered. And I was one out of two people out of the entire academy to win the arts scholarship. So that was pretty awesome. Goes to show that I was definitely kind of like one of the only people like really motivated on like just like pursuing art, because that's something that has always been like for me. But I'm not like the type of person that I've always been abstract. Like I've never been a realism artist. Hence why I don't do realism at all. Like if you take a look at my page, it's all just like wicked abstract, but I feel like I'm more of an emotional artist. So everything that I do, it comes out of my emotions. It's not something that I just want to project and see. It's very heartfelt, and everything that I do, it's like people like it because they relate to where I'm at in life at that moment in time. And that's why I love my clients. I've yet to have a bad experience with a client, and I've been tattooing almost 3 years now. Um,
Yeah, I
I,
just want to say for the listeners, like if you look at Neko's page, you have like a lot. You actually post all your reviews from your clients. You built a clientele and a career in a time when everyone was saying that it's so oversaturated. This is like the worst time for tattooing. All these people are saying this stuff, and meanwhile, like I watched you carve out like your own space, build your own clientele, and doing that, like by
yeah.
being authentic.
You're awesome. Yeah, it was my time. I feel like, finally, I honestly like thank God that I was able to come back into art, because like for me, when I went through that time period of not like doing any type of art, I was depressed. I was depressed. I was super cynical actually, and I would have like mental breakdowns like every week. And then it became every month, and then it started to like become less and less due to like, outside forces like my dad helping me through the process and things like that. But dude, yeah, it was tough. And then once I figured out like holy shit, I have a steady hand again, and I have like creativity that's like entering my brain. I became stoked. And that, like, literally that day, I was like, I'm gonna grab a fucking machine. I'm putting everything that I need in my cart right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna look everything up. And I did that. And then, funny enough, My story is different from most scratchers because of the fact that, like, I personally did have a mentor, but the difference, it was in a traditional mentorship. It was not like the kind where I go and I work at a shop for a year to 2 years, slave my butt off, get drips of information, get treated like crap or whatever. It was like right away, I got to learn everything that I needed to know. And it's because of the fact that, like, I had met my mentor, which I'm gonna plug him in really quickly. He goes by Terror Lith. And I ended up meeting him at a show one day, and they had ended up like becoming friends with my ex at the time, and found my art page. And my art page, I guess they got like inspired by and saw that I wanted to learn. And so they had asked my ex at the time, hey, like, is she interested in an apprenticeship? I would love to apprentice her. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, go ahead and ask her. Asked me, and I was like, hell yeah. I was like, please. I have been wanting to learn how to tattoo for many, many years, and now I finally have the chance to be able to, like, do it and not be in a mind state of, like, "Oh, my hand's shaky," or, "Oh, I don't have, like, like, creativity in my brains."
So what happened? There was like a moment though. So like you ordered like all of the tattoo equipment to get started tattooing. You had this moment where you're like, I'm gonna pursue this.
It was in my cart. It was in my cart, and I was gonna check out the next week.
Okay.
So, when he had, like, hit me up about all that, I was like, "Dude, I was gonna check out with the next paycheck I was just about to get." He
Really?
"What were you gonna get?" And I was like, "Oh, here." I showed him my cart, and he's like, "You don't need all that." He's like, "You're just starting. You don't need a over $1,000 machine to, like, start tattooing." So, he gave me the rundown on everything I needed. He's like, "Get all of these supplies." He is like, "Get all of these supplies, and then this is how we're gonna have you structured." And, dude, my mentor, I love to death. I honestly feel like I got beyond gifted by, like, the heavens. Like, honestly, like, I do believe in, like, higher source. I do believe in something that's constantly guiding you to where you need to be, and I genuinely feel like it was a gift. And it's like life said, "Neko, listen, like, you are now ready to do this." Maybe I wasn't ready to tattoo beforehand or, like, enter the scene beforehand, because of whatever I needed to learn outside of, like, career or outside of what every mundane, every mundane day tells you to, like, I feel like I had to probably develop a lot of, like, characteristic things before being able to interact even with clients or, understand how sacred that is. So, I don't know. I just it came at the right time, so
Yeah. So like, okay, so you were feeling like, okay, I want to pursue tattooing. Like, it's something you had thought about for a long time. Tattooing, you've been interested.
he's the one that pushed me and told me that I should become a tattoo artist because he used to, hire me as a, person who would do canvases inside of, like, people's homes because he did all around housework, did everything when it comes to house. So if you're like, "I want this really abstract tile on my grounds, and I also want really crazy paint all over my house, but I also wanna build, this room into looking like whatever the hell," like, my dad could do. And he was working specifically alongside a, really, talented artist, someone who unfortunately had passed away, um, a few years ago. But we worked on his house, and he loved my dad so much, and, he was like, "Hey, I know your daughter's an artist. I want her to, like, start, painting murals on my, walls and stuff like that." And, that's when, like, I, like, remember doing a replica of my dad's tattoo freehand, like, giant scale on the wall, and it impressed him so much that he was just like, "You should become a tattoo artist," and I was like, I would love nothing more." But at the time, honestly, I wanted more to be, like, a live art painter. I wanted to
Was
go
this like 3 years ago or something like that? Like,
that was before, like, everything had happened to me, so I was, like, 16, 15 years old, and, unfortunately, like I said, like, when I was 17, the whole thing happened. I honestly nearly died, and, it changed the directory of my life because
okay, so you thought about that was like kind of the first time you really thought about tattooing as a
yeah,
career, and then you had this thing happen, and then over the years, finally, like you like your mentor Terralith. What are the, what's
The
his name?
Terror, Trrorli, and I believe it's Lith. So exactly, we have it Lith.
Yeah, so Terralith, right? So Terralith like was interested in mentoring you,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the catalyst that, and what you had already thought about, like kind of breaking out of this and pursuing a new path.
Yeah. I mean, it's a long story. I feel
Mm.
like to like how everything came to be, it's very personal. And I will probably, like I said, I had already created this video that I have not yet put out or edited, but I will do it at some point and then everyone gets more bases on.
Yeah, that sounds good. I always like reaching out, like for our listeners. Like, it's so many people go through this struggle where it's like, how do I break out of this? Like everything, you like want to do something different. They want to pursue a new career. So it's always cool to hear like the things that sort of, were a turning point.
Yeah.
So, so you started. He was
Careful.
like,
This is
um, so he
practice.
started mentoring you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long ago was that? When did you start tattooing?
I'm coming up on my 3rd year. February 15th is the day that I started. So, um, I, am literally counting, like, the moment I started tattooing, like, that day I never stopped. Like, I straight up, like, quit my job. I had nothing else. I was tattooing for free, but I was getting tipped, and so those tips helped me survive at that time. And, then out of nowhere, I started charging, like, a few months in, I was like, "Okay, like, I'm seeing my healed work back." And I feel like, honestly, as a tattoo artist, anyone who's trying to get into tattooing, like, if you're, like, charging right off rip, like, honestly, like, I don't think it's a good idea. I feel like you should definitely do it for free for some time. Like, obviously, you could definitely, like, charge for, like, material and stuff like that. But I highly suggest that you do start off with, like, making sure that the main focus is you getting, those basics down, and it's like, we're talking about sanitization, okay? Like, that's a huge, huge thing, like, please wear your gloves, please use, Cavicide, Meticide, whatever you use, but it has to be, like, industry grade stuff, you know what I mean? I definitely do feel like you have to have, like, bloodborne pathogens at least, have some sort of knowledge on what it is that you're doing prior to, like, tattooing human skin. Because, like, again, you wanna have respect for your canvas, okay? Your canvas, you have to love and treat with respect as much as possible, which means, like, making sure that you are understanding, 1, let me not scar them. 2, let me not infect them by accident or things like that, because it's like, that is deeply personal when it comes to the tattoo industry. I feel like that's, like, a really, really how can I say, like, it's hard to put such strong emotions into words for me, but it's important. It's
It's
very
it's something that's like underrepresented, understudied, and under like a matter of like communication with your clients and making sure that they like know what's happening. And that's like, you can't, I think what you're saying is like you can't leave that step out. Like they're like interacting with their clients, and all of that is like such a core part of tattooing, right?
yeah, easy. I mean, like, dude, besides, like, the communication, it's like, just know what you're doing at least slightly, like, I get, like, figuring it out from head to toe, but, like, do the research and, like, there's a lot of things that you can do nowadays. There's classes online, there are people that work not in non-traditional spaces that are more than willing to share information, like, for instance, you, like, if I were first starting and I didn't have a mentor or anything like that, or things didn't, like, pan out the way they did, I would love to have at least the knowledge of knowing that I can talk to someone, for instance, like yourself, and get some information, you know? And I just feel like that's another thing too. It's like a lot of people do give pushback on others for like sharing free information when it comes to tattooing, because a lot of people, they earned it in many other different ways. For instance, in the traditional community, they had to slave off for a year or two, before they were able to even like learn how to hold a machine. So it's like people like that, of course, are going to look at people that are like picking a machine up from Amazon, tattooing at home and calling themselves a tattoo artist. And it's like I feel like as long as you respect like the basics, which is like sanitization, making sure you have the right equipment, making sure you have the right technique and all that, then at that point, like, do you? Do you know what I mean? But it's like other than that, if you don't have those basics down, I genuinely feel like you should consult with someone.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's great to see, I do say, especially with all of the other, like, celebrity scratchers we speak with and just know from experience, like, it's rare, almost you never see people who will go on to have a successful career. They always are like, "We're doing tattoos for free for a long time," while they're, learning how to do it properly, making sure they, like, know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, always treating their clients with respect and, you know, the people that like just start charging right away and doing it for money and like kind of like skipping over these important things like we never talk with those people really on this show or otherwise because often don't go on to have notable careers. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I have, like, till this day, a client, unfortunately, who was charged $1,000 for a back piece, and this person completely botched her entire back, and I'm still, like, having to, like, figure out how to make it more beautiful up until this day, and she came to me when I was, like, still apprenticing. So, pretty crazy how, like, like, even, like, artists like ourselves, it's like we're left having to pick up those mistakes from, like, other people, you know? It's kinda wild.
So your tattooing career, so you started, a little less than 3 years ago. Tell us about like that journey. Like you started, like, did you have a home studio? What was it like? Like, with your mentor, working with them. Like, when did you actually do your first guest spot? Kind of give us tell us a little bit about your career.
Okay. So at first it started off with me tattooing out of my loft. And my mentor, he obviously would guide me throughout the entire process. And I was taking in practice skins. So at the time on my personal page, I was asking people who followed me whether or not they would be willing to like give me their skin. And then I just, like, took down a bunch of practice skins, and I'm so thankful that I had a lot of people. I literally instantaneously was booked up for months. Actually, like, till this day, it's funny enough, though, but, like, when I first started tattooing, I feel like that's when I had the most clientele, when it was just like, "Holy cow," like, I don't even know what to do at this moment in time, like, with the amount of people that wanna get in, and it was beautiful, it was awesome, and that lasted for about 2 years. I would say, like, um, this is gonna be slightly off topic, but, like, I do if any, like, artist that that is listening right now, if you can relate, but, like, I feel like, obviously, burnouts are, like, a huge, huge, huge thing, but I feel like after I burnt out, that's when, like, my clientele, like, kind of, like, was like, "Okay, like, we're here, but we're not gonna book." And I feel like it's just, like, the energies, it's like as if the world knows, like, "Okay, like, she is tired right now. We should just, like, not give her, like, the tons of clients right now that wanna book in. Let's, like, go easy on her." And so that's, like, what had happened, but basically, the first, studio I started working at was called Art Is My Drug, and basically, with my, mentorship, like and with my apprenticeship, sorry, my mentor, Tara Lith, he ended up, like, kind of, like not knowing where he wanted to teach me anything really, because he didn't have a set, like, shop, but I ended up coming across Art Is My Drug, through Vampira Nails, and Vampira Nails, thanks to her, I had, like, a solid base to go and tattoo that was outside of my loft. And then I told my mentor, like, "Yo, like, I'm gonna start tattooing here. They're charging me, like, a really, really low rate because I'm just starting." I believe it was, like, $200 a month at that time. It was, like, super cheap, and it was a really big space too, so I was super grateful that I got that opportunity, and my mentor was like, "Oh, sick. Okay, cool." And I was like, you could come. Like, there's, like, more space for, like, other artists to come and, like, rent booth," and he did, and then, like, basically, our team was called Six Spirits. That was, like, the entirety of, like, our team. It was me and him, plus his cousin. Unfortunately, he wasn't tattooing anymore, but, um, he and I, like, kind of just worked, like, day in, day out. I remember, like, saying to myself, like, "I live, breathe, and eat tattoos." And at that moment in time, I was, like, obsessed with nothing more but. And, it wasn't until, like, I ended up moving away from that space and getting my own space. I had my own private, like, kinda studio going on. I had a 4-bedroom place I had acquired, and one of those rooms were for tattooing. And I remember I was just paying so much in rent, and I had no help, and I, like, ended up getting so burnt out to the point where I just, like, couldn't even, like, see myself tattooing anymore. And I was just like, "Dude, like, I what I like to say is that I had abused it without wanting to abuse it. I abused it because I had no help, like, paying rent and stuff, um, but I didn't abuse it because of selfish reasons. It was literally just to meet, like, my every month cap, and that, I feel like, ruined my career in a way, or ruined the way I view, tattooing. Which sucks, and it's like, I feel like a lot of artists, like, should talk about that more. I feel like a lot of artists should talk about burnouts. I feel like a lot of artists should talk about mental health. I feel like a lot of artists should talk about, like, "Yeah, dude, like, you get into it, and this is what happens," and sometimes you can be able to, like, help others through talking about things like that because it helps you feel less, like, alone in that sense,
Yeah,
but
that's a really good point. So like that you're so based in that, and that definitely happens to a lot of people. Definitely a lot of like celebrity scratchers too, especially because you're overcoming so much obstacles. You're doing like so much more. You're doing it all alone. You know, you have your own studio. You're figuring this out as you go. And then you're working 14, 15 hours a day every single day, 7 days a week for what, 2 years straight. And that's definitely something a lot of people face. And you don't see it coming either. You're just like grinding
yeah,
nonstop.
because it's like, "This is what I need, this is what I love," like, you're your own boss, It's like, you all of a sudden, it's like, "Yo, I'm booking myself out because I'm so excited about all these projects, and it's so much fun," and then that day comes, and you're like, "Why the hell did I do this to myself? Am I not thinking about my health? And, like, am I not thinking about, like, bro, like, you're human, you need a break?" Like, sometimes I feel like, I mean, at that time, I worked myself like a machine.
Yeah. And that's a lot of like what like me and Clover's mission is about, just like creating spaces that are like more functional, and like like having like a really cheap studio that's really like solid that artists can work at, like DIY artists, like underground artists, that kind of take that burden off of you and give you more opportunities to prevent that kind of thing from happening, just as like so you're not trying to like juggle all these things and go so hard, because it's not really your fault. It's like it's just like a systemic sort of thing. You didn't have access to things you needed to keep that from happening.
Yeah.
So you hit this point where you were just like, oh my God, like and also like you said, the energy is like, if you're like hyped up posting like, 10 videos a day of like tattooing all these different people and the vibe at the studio, like clients like to be involved, not just for the tattoo, but to be part of a movement. They're part of something. They're part of you growing.
I
Um,
love that. I kid you not, for me, they keep me going. They don't know, I mean, I feel like they know that. I express it enough, I feel, but maybe I should express it more, but I feel like clients don't know that they really keep the artist going. And I feel like any moment okay, if you are an artist, okay, chances are you're a little messed up in there. Something's happening. You know what I mean? You're a little crazy. So I feel like, when you go through your days of like, I don't want to be here anymore, or like, it's again very touchy subject, but like I feel like they don't understand that the fact that when they show you love and they tell you, "Hey, this made my like year, made me feel beautiful inside and outside," or "I'm so glad that I got to relate to someone," when you have your conversations while you're tattooing or things like that. It's like it makes a huge difference. When I get my DMs and they're like, once their tattoo's healed, they're like, "I love it so much." Or, like, a year later, and they're like, "It's still my favorite tattoo," and it's like, "Come on, man." Like, you give me more motivation to stay on Earth.
And that's a really, really important thing. I think I'm so glad you bring this up. Not enough people know about this. That it's like the underground tattoo scene is the most wholesome thing you could have ever imagined. Instead of it being like this really tough, gritty, like like motorcycles and leather jackets shop. That's everyone's like like supposed to be tough or whatever. But then the underground tattoo scene is so wholesome. You have so many people that they're like, this is changing my life, and you have so much community and love, and it's like this whole incredible thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
feel like we're healing each other.
truly, and that's like one of the things I so much love about tattooing as a whole. And that is like the probably the most incredible thing about like the underground tattoo scene. That's so true. So what's next after that? You kind of like that wasn't that long ago, right? Where you kind of hit this like I need a break sort of thing.
Yeah, it lasted a very long time. Dare I say that it is still hitting me until this day. Um, I I mean, I feel like my mutuals know this or like my clients know this, dude. Like I'd like to say that I like honestly, I like for the past year, I've rescheduled more times than I can count. I've had to like postpone dates. I've had to just like be like, yo, like there's times which I genuinely, like, don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like I wake up and I'm like, "I'm tired. I'm burnt. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna, like," and it's hard to, like, be able to just move throughout life sometimes. And honestly, like, I literally feel like just now I'm, like, starting to see a glimpse of hope for myself, where I can be able to sit there and say, "Well, I feel like my depression is finally kind of going away, it's subsiding." And also, like, the burnout feeling, um, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like I do everything I can to still kinda be there for my people. My people always, like, have a very, like, clear understanding of, like, I am human, and I'm not gonna be able to reciprocate or be there every single time we set an appointment. Like, if I say, like, "Okay, on this day, we're gonna meet up," that's, like, my intention. I really would love that. But that day comes, I'm human, I need to remember, like, "Holy shit," like, if I need a break, if I can't do that, I can't do it. And that's another thing is that, like, I feel like my clients understand me because they also have the same issues. Because, like, most of my clients have BPD. Most of my clients are bipolar. And, if anybody knows anything about me is that, like, I just came to the understanding that I have BPD. Like, I just found out, like, when I was in Scotland last year in December. And it's like, I don't think that, like, people connect with my art for no reason. I think certain people connect with my art. I think people that have seen pain connect with my art. I think people that understand things in a way that I do connect with my art. Because if you don't, you're just not going to see it or
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it's such a good point. So it's like that's a big thing about doing this not traditional flash on the wall style tattooing. We're talking about you are an artist. You have an incredibly like unique style. Like you're looking for that one in a million person who deeply connects with you, understands that, and they feel seen. So that's another really beautiful thing that happens, right? So, you're being authentic and then that connects you with people who understand you and relate to that. So, it's really cool to have that connection with your clients, definitely. And that goes for anyone who has a unique style, and it's really cool to see that, like the clientele that like is drawn to your style.
Yeah. And honestly, dude, like, I really love this conversation we're having because then it's like it allows for other people to understand like more of like this thing that we're talking about, you know? Because I feel like it just isn't like modernized yet. And honestly, like another thing too, like I remember like just like a few months ago, I was like Inked magazine, hit me up. inked mag, come on. And then, I was seeing, like, the kind of posts that they were posting, and it's very just, like, not the same as it was before. I feel like inked mag now is very different. Like, they're posting about, like, famous people, famous celebrities, and things that have nothing to do with tattoos, kind of, and or just, like, very vaguely have to do with, like, anyone that, like, I don't know. I don't know. I really do hope that, like, this podcast, like, you're able to grow to an extent where you can become the new face of the industry in that way, because, like, there are more and more people that are less and less traditional now.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's the big problem too is all of the mainstream tattoo media outlets are all just like afraid to touch DIY. They won't do anything that is related to being a scratcher. They won't talk about it. And when they do talk about it, they erase all of the DIY from it. And they literally end up erasing like, trans tattoo artist history. You know, they're like literally like black tattoo history. All of this stuff is like literally getting stripped from tattoo and then they push it out in this like mainstream commercial thing. Um, and yeah, that sucks, right? And so that's why we do what we do, you know what I'm saying? Trying to um just talk about like real tattoo history and stuff.
Really, really quickly,
Yeah.
we are in the middle of a, podcast, but I just wanna say, you are amazing, and thank you for having me here and, talking to everyone that you have and creating this, space. It's truly
Thank you
awesome.
so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's me and Clover. Hot scratcher's always been two people. I couldn't do it without Clover. And yeah,
Well,
thank you so much for the love. Um, you know, it's all about you. It's all about, the underground tattoo community. Um, and yeah, really appreciate that. So stoked. You who makes this like incredibly unique and amazing, and just so stoked to hear you telling your story. Um, so like with the burnout, I see a lot of artists talking about this. I literally just Ganko was talking about this on her story like a day or two ago. The burnout, right? Similar sort of thing.
oh,
And what we really think is simple. It's because you don't have like the systems in place and the resources to do things in this sort of healthy way. Like you're fighting with like, everyone's trying to overcome mental health issues, navigating capitalism and owning a business and trying to, be successful and stuff. Um, so that's why we're really working hard to slowly build better spaces for people and better resources so that stuff doesn't happen. Because if you were able to go to a studio that had like a really low, booth rent, that there was somewhere nearby to stay that was really cheap to stay at, and when you go into the studio, you're happy to be there. It's like people who inspire you and get you excited, and it runs really smooth, but it's still totally underground. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Completely DIY, but
I'm
it's somewhere you really want to be, you're excited to be, and that like benefits everyone.
mm, you are literally touching base on something that I have been searching for a long time. It's that, and it's true. And at the end of the day, it's like it's really you're right, it's not that hard. I feel like that's definitely the main focus. It's like, I really wish I could just walk to the studio, you know? I could just walk there, it's chill, it's fun, it's a good percentage, and, things like that. Like, yeah, like, I'd be fine. I'd be totally fine.
Right, it would really help everything, and but like this is where it always goes wrong, and this is where it's like because that's at the point where it's like everyone has to stare into the mouth of the beast, like that we are a business, we exist in a society where we are living in capitalism. So it's like things like signing a business agreement, like if there's someone has to have their name on a lease for the studio, right? And then if
Yeah.
you want to come be like a resident or whatever, things like signing a business agreement are what keep it wholesome. But to everyone else, it feels like you're being slimy and corporate. You know what I'm saying? They're like, what is this contract? Like, what are you fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
It's
right. But in reality, like that's what keeps it wholesome because we're communicating with each other. Like, okay, this
yeah,
is the deal. This is my responsibility. This is yours. And it's mutually beneficial. Um, it gets a bad rap because a lot of times contracts are slimy. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with corporate, but it's like I know we always have to remind people like, no, we are like for the people though, you know.
Love people. We're actually good people.
But that's where it often goes wrong is because like once you actually start dealing with these like systems like that, where it's like, having to have like a camera in the studio and keys for the studio and alarm and business agreements, that's when everyone starts like, not wanting to like follow through on that stuff because, and understandably so, because it's a system that's completely oppressed you your whole life. And those are things that are usually used to hurt you. But anyway, that's our long-term goal is like, making spaces like more accessible, safer, better for clients and artists, more wholesome, more profitable. You know what I mean? Because like, um, every celebrity scratcher I've ever met is like everyone's like, if you had $1 million, like what would you use it for? You would literally use it to benefit people. You would like build a studio that was cheap for everyone to go to. You would have better content for the artists, better amenities for the
Yeah.
clients.
Dude, as a dude, I feel like sometimes like people like I don't know, usually like okay. As of now, I'm starting to understand a lot of people are like, "Oh, Neko, like you're cool and like whatever and like what like and they see me in this light that I'm like, okay, I'm understanding that like you think I'm all that or whatever at the moment in time. Totally awesome. Great. But at the same time too, it's like I feel like a lot of people don't understand. It's like even I was even talking to Pain Love Co. I love Pain Love Co. Will, he's so awesome. A lot of people think that like, we charge up the butt, like up the butt. And it's like it's really not the case, dude. Honestly, if most of the time I love to work with budgets, I love to work with people in general. It's really hard for me to say like no to someone unless I feel like it's a complete disrespect and a waste of time. But like I genuinely really do find myself sacrificing myself so much that I like have other people in my life that care and love about me who know about the industry or have had more time in the industry and way more time in the industry tell me like, "Hey, you need to stop being so caring towards people in a way where you are putting yourself here." Because they see my everyday life. They know what I go through. They know what's happening. And if I'm unable to provide for myself, they're going to tell me like, "Hey, dude, that shouldn't even be a thing. Why are you doing this?" And it's like, I don't know. I love people. And I just like want everyone to be fucking good all the time. Like, you want a tattoo that's sick as fuck that makes me happy? Like, let's do it. It's like it's really hard for me. Honestly, I sometimes wish I had someone that could price things for me. I wish someone like could just navigate my life and be like, "Hey, this is your rent. This is what you need to survive. This is what you need for leisure. This is what you need for self-care, and then this is like etc." And then I'm going to make sure that all that is met and it's fair for everyone. Like,
I mean, that's literally like probably the one of the biggest hurdles for every, underground artist is like, what do I charge and how do I charge a price that is like helps my client and help and actually lets me survive? And that's so real. And that's something everyone goes through in a profound way. And it's devastating to try to actually like get the like charge the right amount of money. You know what I'm saying?
I envy those. I'm just kidding. I don't like envy as a entity, but I mean, dude, people that could be able to like understand like this is what needs to happen, like this is like my artwork, this is how I feel about it, this is how people feel about it, and this is my worth, and this is my life, and they are able to just I'm like, okay, cool, let's
But
lucky.
this is something that makes what you're doing and every other like celebrity scratcher doing so impressive and why I admire it so much. And what makes it so incredible is because you are carving out a new style, a new way of doing business, and a whole new thing that is like not a system. It's not like a parlor shop where it's all figured out. And that is what makes it so fucking badass what you're doing. You are diving in, creating a new style, figuring out how to navigate it. You're building a new system that's more accessible for people, that's letting people get tattooed who weren't able to before. and at great expense to your own, your own health and your own everything. And that's what makes it really, really awesome. And it's sick as fuck. It's so cool. It's hard. You're right. A lot of people really can't even get past that. But
I
you did
I
do it though.
I will say that about, like, one thing that we haven't touched base on is, like, how the style came about. For instance, like, my tribal is the first thing that I very first started doing, and I remember calling it, like, emo goth tribal, and that's solely because of the fact that, like, the replica, tattoo that I did on my dad that I talked about earlier, it was a tribal tattoo. Of course. My dad grew up in that time. Everyone in the 90s was getting tribal tattoos. And I feel like obviously nowadays everyone's revamping it, making it like their own, which is awesome because it means so much to them, you know? And for me, that's how it started. And then it ended up with me going through another dose of psychosis last year. And that's when my wound work came about and my infection style as well, and, those literally just stemmed through, me going through psychosis, and then I remember, like, towards the end of my psychosis, where I was able to be a bit more aware of my reality, is when I ended up, like, wanting to bleach shirts and stuff, and I remember I grabbed a paintbrush and I started, like, doing just whatever came to me, and then, it was like this, really sick ass design that I did on a shirt, and I was like, "Can I tattoo that?" And then as soon as I was able to tattoo again, I was like, "Imma tattoo that," and then that's where my infection style came out, and, yeah, it really just stemmed off of, like, delulu pain, like, like, being in a state that's so vulnerable, and I feel
That
like
You said wound work, so it's like it kind of looks like sort of like scarification, but not because it's like an open wound sort of look. It's not just scarification. It doesn't because like Will like at Pain Might Love That Coat, he'll do some like tattoos with flesh colored ink that kind of like will heal looking like a scar, but yours is like hardcore. It's like a wound.
Thank you, dude. I love Pain Love Co, man. He actually, funny enough, which we can all take a look really quickly, is that he did my first scarification ever, while we were in Berlin, and it came out really fucking cool. Let me see if I could shine a light.
Yeah.
He
Oh, I see it. It's like a cross
Sure.
on top of an old tattoo, on top
Yeah,
of like a trad style tattoo.
yeah. This is from Jody Brower. This is 2 as well, but yeah, he did it over that one there, and, it was a tester. I'm seeing him ashy, but whatever, I'm sure it's fine. But, yeah, he did it over that tattoo, and he did it very, like, he made sure not to go in too deep because it was, like, the first time that I had gotten scarification, and he just wanted to make sure that, he didn't, like, hurt me or anything like that because he's
So
also
that's
practicing.
right, right, right. So yeah, like he's doing scarification stuff. There's not, like you said, there's not a lot of info and a lot of people doing scarification, especially contemporary style. And it's so cool that like that inspires your tattoo style. Um, and yeah, I'm just like really stoked to see where that goes. You said you want to do scarification.
Yeah, that's the main, goal, that's up next is scarification. I just feel like it's a pleasure in being able to find pain without being, a total menace to yourself and society. I just feel like for me, my wound work healed me a lot because it was during a time where I wanted to, like, hurt myself, and, it ended up being, like, instead of, like, me being, like, a total, like, "Let me just go at it at myself and be mean," it was like, "No, let me try and turn this into something that is healing and beautiful," which would mean that I'm gonna honor the pain, and I'm going to try and understand the meaning behind why I am in pain. And, like, just, like, do something different, with it. I don't know.
So this style you're doing is like the red ink and like looks like wounds and like cuts on the skin and stuff like that. Like you're doing this as like a way to process and like as a way to like I don't know, it's just a really incredible way to like an approach to your style of tattooing and like the thought and the meaning behind it. That's really incredible. That makes
This
a lot of sense.
this is, like, I've mentioned already before, it's like, I'm a very emotional tattoo artist. Everything stems off of, like, what you're going through and, it just like I said, like, I've not had a horrible client not once because 'cause they're all like me.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like tattoo, like so an artist, like an the reason people buy art or like art is because it makes them feel something, right? You want to make art that makes people feel, and even further than that, some people want to make art that has a statement, has a meaning. It either helps you process something emotionally, or it helps educate people or make them think about something in a new way. And that is something that is so profoundly cool about this new movement of contemporary tattoo artists. It's not doing a style like that's like this commercial thing. It's like you are an artist and you are connecting with people on an emotional level and helping them process, helping them, do something even that's healing and productive and helping them learn about themselves. And, like it can be a turning point in their lives even.
Yeah.
And that's big. That's a lot. That's what tattoo's all about. It's transformative and like in a lot of ways, that's what I love about like, like celebrity scratchers and the underground tattoo movement and everything around the world, like is that it's bringing it more back to like original tattooing styles. Like when you had this spiritual thing, you get like your whole body tattooed and it was part of the culture.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So I think it's really important what you're doing. And I think it's really cool. That's so cool. So tell us just a little bit more about like your tattoo career. So it's really significant, right? So you were really depressed. You're going through this hard time. You had experienced like trauma, and you like even lost some, like you said, like dexterity in your hands and all this stuff. And you at some point turned your life around. You're like, I'm gonna pursue this new path. You literally went all in. You like quit your day job, went all in on tattoo. You made it accessible for people. You charged free at first or really low prices that let people get tattooed. And then you went on to actually guest spot travel. Like, what was it like doing your first guest spot, or like, what are some places that you've traveled to throughout your career now?
I honestly didn't think I'd remember my first guest spot when you mentioned it, but I think I now do remember my first guest spot was at Girlfriend LA when I was 3 months into tattooing.
That's incredible.
I was like, "I'm at Girlfriend LA, like, it's so cool," and they were so chill, like, just, like, letting in someone who just started tattooing, like, in. I don't know, I found that really cool. Yeah, Meal is really sick. She's a really awesome person. I know you know her. Um, but yeah, that was my first guest spot. I would say like the most ecstatic I've been about like anything my tattoo career has offered me besides like all the people I've tattooed who I have like made really, really solid connections with. But it's the fact that it brought me to the UK. Like, I'm such a Harry Potter nerd. Like, I'm first generation in the States. Okay, so, like, I remember like, my first language is Spanish. But I remember Harry Potter movies, like, I was such a wee little lad. I was a wee tiny baby and just, like, watching the VHS tapes of Harry Potter and, it being in, like, London, right? And, just, like, my entire life till this day, still people are like, "Is that a UK accent I sense in you?" or whatever in certain times and moments in time. And I'd be like, "It's probably because of the fact that I, like, was first language Spanish, watched Harry Potter movies, and then went to school and all that." So, thankfully, my tattoo career brought me to, Scotland, London, and when I went there, I was genuinely just, like, over the moon over the fact that I was there, like, how the hell I had not a single ad in that place. How did I end up there? And it was just like I don't know. I just feel like life brings you to where you need to be. No matter where the hell you're at right now, like life is gonna put you where you are for a reason and just like be cool with it, you
You just
know?
gotta take some risks. You got to actually sacrifice and take some risks to get there,
Yeah.
though. Like it's
Absolutely, yeah. But you're gonna be ready if you're ready, you know?
so that is so cool. So where did you like? Did you what was it like? Did you get bookings when you were in the UK? Like what studios did you visit in UK or
I
Scotland?
actually booked out in Scotland for some reason, and I was, like, looking at the people around me, like, which is very small. I don't keep many people around me, but I was like, "How did I get into London?" I mean, in Scotland, like, honestly, like, Scotland for me, it was a big one. Scotland, I was fully booked out. London, I was just like, "Okay, I wanna go to London," you know, and
Right.
Scotland was, like, the main pot,
What
and,
studio did you guest at there?
it was at Feelings Studio, I don't remember the actual just give me a sec, cause your girl's memory isn't that good unless
So
there
what? So where else did you? So you went to the UK. You got your tattooing career brought you there. That's incredible.
yeah.
You also ended up going to Berlin, right?
No, dude, yeah, Berlin. Honestly, I went to Berlin solely because I wanted to learn scarification. For me, I ended up going there and, I got actually told to go there by Marisha, and she's a scarification artist. She's a tattoo artist, I believe, as well, but, like, she's super cool. And then I ended up meeting Joka. Joka, dude, oh my god, which is, can we tag like, are we able to tag people in here? Cause
Yeah, I'll add it to the post. It'll show up also in like Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. I'll put it in the description of the episode.
yeah, I want to be able to share this, but this is her profile. I'm gonna see if we could be able to link it here. So
We could definitely put like the. I'll definitely make sure to add it in the episode description. Um, you can also go ahead and like spell out the name like for the viewers.
Xiaoaiepoch2.
Oh yes, yes, that's one of like the most recognizable, notable scarification artists like in the world. Like,
Dude, I
um,
met her in Berlin. We were like,
did you
dude,
get a selfie?
yes, I have selfies, dude. And she asked for it, man. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, to be the because I honestly don't like to be like, hey, like in your face, like, let me go ahead and ask for a picture. She was like, "Hey, you wanna take a picture?" I was like, "Yes!" Like, "Are you kidding?" And she just did Will's scarification back piece out there in Berlin, so and I got to watch. I got to, like, sit in and actually observe the goddess at work. Um No, dude, I call her goddess, I look up to her a lot solely because of the fact that it's clean. It's
Can you
clean.
imagine 3 years ago, like not have even started tattooing at all, and then now you're like in Berlin, like getting a selfie of like one of the most iconic artists in the world, like learning how to do this thing from them.
You know, only life has wonders and beauties for you that you don't know is going to be there. And honestly, in saying that, I would like to kind of also say out loud that maybe that's why we should continue to push every day. Because even if it's hard right now, or it's been hard for a while, you don't know what's going to happen next. And you might miss it all if you're not here. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's no, that's so true. I mean, just looking at your career, that's incredible. That's incredible. Like being to be able to work alongside some of these like just absolutely legendary artists. And I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Like, um, yeah, that's amazing. So what's next? What's next for Neko? What are your you got like and it's okay if you don't have goals, but like what is like your goal or your mission? Like what do you want to see happen in your career next?
honestly, my main thing is making sure that I do everything I said I wanted to do when I was a child, when you would have to ask yourself, what is it I want to do when I grow up? And for me, what I wanted to do when I grew up was dance, sing, I'm already tattooing, so that's already out of the question. The artist thing is already done. But, I would like to also be outside of the tattoo industry. I would also like to become someone who is fully just capable of doing all the things that she set out she wanted to do from when she was a very, very baby. And, yeah, that's the main motive, honestly, to be honest. Like, is just doing whatever the hell I ever put myself to do.
I think one of the coolest things, if you look at every guest we've had on the show, is the one of the most notable things about like celebrity scratchers are none of them are confined to just being like a tattooist. Like that is never someone's main personality. I think being an artist, like every single guest has always been eclectic and had multiple incredible talents and does many things. You know what I'm saying? And like tattooing fits into that, but it's like it's really cool. I think that it's bigger picture than that,
Yeah.
right?
Easy. I go wherever life takes me and the curtains take me, and right now it's like I would like to, like, go ahead and throw down on the scarification world. I feel like that'd be sick, but, like, for the most part, it's just like I wanna do whatever the hell life's got going for me. I actually did recently just get asked by Petunia Twins to go ahead and, like, be part of their shop. If we know about the Petunia Twins, they're a couple of twins who tattoo that are really, really cool.
You got offered a residency there?
Yeah,
That's incredible. That's a huge, huge congratulations to
thank
that. Wow.
thank you. I'm about to go see them actually and, like but,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of those kind of like accomplishments, those milestones in your career where you're just like are literally like sobbing sometimes when you get like asks like that
I
just
ran ar
because
I ran around my house.
yeah.
I asked, my baby doggo to come with me outside. I was like, "Come run with me outside." "Oh my god, I'm so stoked." And,
It's like getting into Harvard or something, you know what I mean? Like it's the equivalent.
Mhm.
Um that's so, well earned too. That's really huge. Um Man,
Thanks.
that's so cool.
Again, everything's like, just a platform. Everything's like a step, and we're all supposed to kinda go through those steps and, see what they got for us, and then kind of, like, go from there, you know?
Hell yeah. Man, well, that is like so amazing. Again, thank you so much for sharing all this. I guess before we wrap this episode up, for I always do this for all of our tattoo artists, aspiring tattoo artist listeners. Just a little bit of technical info because I'm really interested in. You can do really big tattoos really fast. You do like your interpretation of like cyber tribal kind of stuff. You do these big spiky pieces, and you use a specific technique, which is what I would say is kind of a style of whip shading, and it's almost kind of like a ride the tube sort of thing where you're doing this like sort of little scribble sort of motion, right? And doing these big pieces fast that are affordable.
Go deeper than that, but I definitely, like I feel like it really just depends on the person. I don't really believe that it's a certain technique that you can be able to learn that makes you fast. I feel like you just have to be as a person, like, fast. 'Cause, like, I, like, have learned my technique through my mentor, and my mentor is a lot, like, slower than I am, we're talking about many hours slower than I am, and, like, it just, like, it really depends on the person.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. I mean, that's I guess this is one of the most difficult like hurdles when we're talking about technical things like in tattooing because like when I'm talking about like okay, how like an ink, how dark an ink is or how it's going to heal, like every conversation usually ends up like, yeah, but technique is 90% of it. You know what I'm saying? Like and I'm like, yeah, but this one ink is a little bit darker. Like we're talking about the 10% here, right? So it's like a lot of people will hang the needle out really far and then sort of like lightly tattoo versus where you're doing like this like big pieces fast. I was just kind of interested in like
Listen to that. For me, honestly, I, like, hang out my needle, like, not too far out, but far out enough to have, like, just, like God, I just go by feeling, so it's hard to, like, talk about it. Um, I if anyone knows about, like, master numbers or numerology, I'm a number 7. I'm a terrible teacher, but, like, I'm very much so aware of, like, things. So, like, I would say, like, I hang out my needle enough for it to be safe, and then as far as when I go into the skin itself, I just regulate myself in a way where I'm going in kind of like God, it's like a whole thing, but, like, it's like I don't try to go too fast. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to go like a black pack, that's, like, fast. It's like you're gonna go in and you're gonna, like, add some more pressure to that while you're, like, doing this sort of movement. Or if you're trying to, like, do, like, a lighter etch with texture, it's like you're gonna do it, like, way faster than that. Um,
I guess what's notable is like, okay, so if you're doing like a really big feast, like I guess this is sort of a different approach to doing things I see, right?
style too, honestly.
What's that?
Depends on the style too, cause it's like I do offer, like, my wound work, I offer my black work, I offer my infection style, I offer, like, these things, so they all have different timings to them. However, with everything, I do try to go in, like, solid. I know that I'm entering that skin, and I'm going in. And it's like if I want more texture, I'm gonna do it faster, and if I want more, like, of a solid pack, I'm gonna go a little bit slower, but I'm gonna still go fast.
Yeah, I
'Cause
guess what's really cool about your style, I guess I'll say this, is like doing like these big sort of like you're using instead of doing like a perfectly clean line and filling everything in completely solid black,
I
like
do it's really fun.
what's that?
I just started doing that actually, it's really fun. It's doing the solid thick outline. Well, solid outline, and then I go in, and then I go inside of those crevices, and then I make it a thicker outline. It's like a coloring book, dude. It's like when you're coloring and you got a thick ass outline and then you color that shit in. You do it all just like that.
Yeah. I guess all I was trying to say, I guess, is that like it's cool seeing people do styles that like instead of doing it like a traditional way, using sort of a texture technique and
Yeah,
creating these big pieces, like at first glance, it really has like the same effect or even better
yeah,
having something that's like a little bit different with the texture
yeah,
versus having like line work or whatever.
yeah. Not as, like, cubical. It's more, it's more like
Yeah. But anyway, it's just cool seeing new approaches to it and seeing how effective it is and how it's like just looks cool, unique, and it's more accessible too. So um,
wanna say thank you so much for this on the whim podcast that I actually enjoyed and thoroughly was so thankful for.
yo, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Dude, absolutely. I wish you, Clover, nothing but, like, the highest of extremes of wherever your career takes you and in being able to help so many people around the world through just being yourselves, and honestly, you're doing a lot of work that, I admire, so
Hell yeah, same to you too. And yeah, once we we'll very soon in the near future we're gonna have a studio where we'll film. So we'll have to do something in LA where we get to maybe meet up and have a little more fun and do
I
some projects.
actually wanted that today. I wanted to meet up in person. I feel like honestly, like, I wanted to do in person versus video, if anything, but, like, honestly, like, this works too, and it's still
They're coming very soon. This is just everything is like you said, it's just steps on the way. And next step is we're going to be doing episodes inside of a studio, and we can't wait. So, so
Also, yeah, just wanna say thank you, everybody who has listened this far and have been able to find, I don't know, anything out of this I can help, and, yeah.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, all of our amazing listeners as well. And Neko, you're the best. It's been great having you on. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you do next.
Drake now. "Baby, you're my everything. No, we gotta go. You all I ever wanted." Like, maybe we need to put that background song now.
Yeah, just imagine the music. All right. And that's a wrap. All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, bye.